The geopolitical landscape is on the brink of a dramatic shift. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has revealed plans to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin to discuss ending the Ukraine conflict. Trump has publicly stated that Putin is willing to engage in peace negotiations, signaling a potential breakthrough in the ongoing war. The Kremlin has welcomed these discussions, emphasizing that there are no preconditions beyond mutual political will. According to Trump's team, the proposed peace plan includes freezing current front lines and postponing Ukraine's NATO membership by 20 years. However, these proposals have already faced significant resistance from both Ukraine and international allies. Putin's primary objective remains clear: preventing Ukraine from joining NATO and reducing the military presence of Western allies in Eastern Europe. It's a strategy that mirrors demands made before the full-scale invasion, which were previously rejected by the Biden administration. Keith Kellogg, Trump's incoming peace envoy, insists that the goal is to save Ukraine and preserve their sovereignty, but concerns persist about potential concessions that might compromise Ukraine's territorial integrity. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has suggested a gradual NATO entry with collective defense initially excluding occupied territories. This approach reflects Ukraine's desperate desire for security guarantees against future Russian aggression. The ongoing conflict has strained both nations' resources. Ukrainian forces are struggling with manpower shortages, while Russia faces economic pressures from record military spending and significant casualties. European leaders remain cautious about Trump's approach. Their primary concern centers on potential inconsistencies in Western policies regarding state sovereignty and territorial integrity. Strategic implications are profound. Any negotiated settlement could fundamentally reshape NATO's eastern flank and redefine international security dynamics. The potential meeting between Trump and Putin represents more than a diplomatic encounter. It's a critical moment that could determine the future of global geopolitical relationships. The proposed peace negotiations reveal a complex diplomatic strategy with multiple nuanced components. At its core, the plan involves strategic concessions and territorial compromises. The 20-year postponement of NATO membership is particularly significant. It represents a direct concession to Putin's long-standing geopolitical objectives. This approach neutralizes Ukraine's immediate NATO aspirations while providing a potential pathway for future integration. Trump's team argues that this compromise could create a temporary stability zone and prevent further military escalation. Keith Kellogg's diplomatic strategy goes beyond traditional negotiation frameworks by proposing to freeze current front lines. This approach implicitly recognizes Russia's current territorial gains while attempting to prevent further expansion. The strategy prioritizes immediate stability over absolute territorial restoration, but the potential diplomatic engagement carries significant risks. Ukraine and Western allies have expressed deep concerns about the proposed term. They view the plan as potentially legitimizing Russian territorial acquisitions. European diplomatic circles are particularly wary, seeing the negotiations as a potential precedent that could undermine international territorial sovereignty principles. Trump's approach diverges dramatically from traditional U.S. foreign policy. His willingness to engage directly with Putin and consider substantial concessions represents a bold and controversial diplomatic strategy. The proposed negotiations symbolize more than a simple diplomatic encounter. They represent a potential fundamental restructuring of Eastern European geopolitical dynamics. The outcome of these negotiations could reshape NATO's strategic positioning and influence future international conflict resolution approaches. As the world watches with bated breath, the outcome could redefine international relations, NATO's role, and the delicate balance of power in Eastern Europe.